Good evening, good evening. A bit of a guerrilla stream here tonight. Lots of work to do, so why not just put the camera on as well? So, you know what we're doing, of course. Our life revolves around owls these days, so. Okay, what's that? Quiet stream today, I guess. Here's nothing. Just have to do about. I've got about I think 15 times 4. I guess there's about 60 copies of the owl in here. They have to be done tonight and tomorrow because they've got to be shipped. These are mostly sold. They've got to be shipped from our Ome store on Monday. From our Ome place on Monday. So it's Saturday night here. I've got to finish what I can tonight, finish it up tomorrow morning, ship them tomorrow afternoon, and then they'll be sent out Monday morning. You keep this stream open, it says, but don't you just get a notification whenever it goes live? Isn't that how it works? You know? I thought people got emails when the stream went live. They'd get an email letting them know. We're printing this with the light part at the end as an intention on it. But I've already had people say, is there something wrong with the printing? I tried to taper it off with the Baron, but it seems that there's been a bit of, not misunderstanding, but what's real and what's a mistake, you know. You can perhaps hear the sound of somebody else there. Kawai-san is here tonight. He's printing on the bench over on the other side of the room there. He's already done a full day in the shop, as did I in Asakusa today, and now we're printing. It's an indication of how our business is going these days. It's good, of course. But we're double shifting here. This is too strong. And this is not a good cover. Just a second here. brand new cover. Needs to be softened up a bit. Okay. So this discussion here about the Roku or the Chromecast or whatever, stuff like that. So there's people watching this thing on a large TV. Is that the idea? Some huge widescreen setup? I mean, myself, I've only ever seen it on a computer here, desktop computer. And people I hear from are watching this stream on like tiny phones and stuff. I can't imagine what it looks like on a living room wall, you know. You see the top of my head there. But how are you typing that? If this is on a TV on the wall, what, you've got a keyboard or something? This, you know. You're sitting on a couch with a keyboard on your lap or something? Or how does it work? Excuse me, I've never seen this kind of a setup before, you know. I don't actually have a TV, so I don't know how the current world here works. Oh, I see. Soka. You separate it. The chat and the viewing are different. Soka. spoiled that one. Look at that, it dropped right off the Kinto. Too busy watching the stream here. Actually, I haven't done that in years, but anyway, whatever, let's have a look at it. Make a mark on it so I know when it comes back again. I'm not sure if any of you here were involved in the thread. I posted something to the fan page a couple of hours ago. I got a message from Twitch this afternoon in sort of bright fancy letters with confetti dancing and celebration sort of message. When I logged onto the Twitch page, it said, congratulations, congratulations. You are now eligible for partner status. Please click here to apply for your partner affiliation, or whatever the actual word says. So I guess I've accumulated enough bonus points or whatever it is that they count. Where am I here? But when I clicked through, there was an information page. It said, you know, like whatever, click here to look for information on what it means, what partner stuff was. And I clicked through, and actually I've got the page on the other browser here. I clicked through and it says, okay, what I can do is I can generate revenue for my challenge channel via subscriptions. I can create a subscriber-only badge. I can lock the channel to be subscribers only. I can exclude subscribers from such and such. I can restrict access to my archives. Turn ad viewing off or leave it on for subscribers. It's all about whatever, just trying to monetize the thing, I guess. I don't really actually see what that does for anybody. I know. On our YouTube channel, we don't want to do ads. And on the Patreon thing, I don't want to do content for Patreons. Only the people that pay money can see it. We don't want to do that sort of thing at all. Like a paywall. Who wants a paywall? Getting people to sub means asking them to pay money, right? I'm not going to ask people to pay money to watch this thing. To me, that sounds like the ultimate joke. Pay money to watch me work. I mean, really, the ultimate joke. I mean, if it was a teaching class or something, okay, students, we're gathered here today. Today's lesson is such and such, you know, and there's a course or something like that. I can see where that would sort of make sense. But that's not what this is. He's looking good, this owl, this time around. You know, I don't know if you noticed, I deepened the color compared to the last batch, you know. thing though, if I don't do this though, just sit as we are. I'm not paying Twitch for any of this, and they're not. I guess they're putting ads on the stream, so maybe they're making a bit of money off it. I mean, am I freeloading on their system by doing it this way? I don't know. Also, though, on that partner page, let me go back to that just for a second. Let's look at it. It mentioned this partner page. Partners receive a bunch of perks, including the ability to blah, blah, generate revenue. But it says, if you're a partner and not interested in the subscription program, you are not required to take part in the program. While the sub buttons work well for some channels, it may not be in your best interest to have one on your channel. So it seems that I could accept this partner thing and yet not do the subscription thing, it seems. So does that mean that people would get the emotes and stuff that they're asking for? I don't know. Or not, I don't know. Sorry to sound a bit clueless about this, but I haven't really looked at this much. I've never been a Twitch viewer myself, so I really don't have a good sense of how this all works. So I keep saying I'm going to go and look it up, but you know what's going on, so I never get a chance to do that. So. Finished?
終わんないけど。
一食終わった？
いや。
時間？
もう明日になっちゃう。
そうかそうか。明日パーティー多い？
いや、多分午前中に入ってたやつ。多くはないですけど、一文字ぼかしたんですけど、時間かかります。
集中か。何枚入ってますか？
はい。
何枚
？40枚ですけど、そうですね、ちょっとでも
まあゆっくり締め切りないですね。
ちょっとゆっくりやります。
はいはい。
ゆっくりじゃなきゃできないです。
いいよいいよ。全部不要品になると大変ですから。
ブラシとかも逆に安全かもしれない。洗って。
No, I would never make it so that people would have to subscribe to see this. I mean, I'd rather quit than do that, If that subs was for the stream was for subs only, no, not in a million years would I do that. No, we're printing today. I'm printing with dirty water. No. This was the water pot. It was just clean water, which I was doing with the blue. Then I've got a cup over here with actual black, deep, rich black pigment. And the idea was, I've got a tile here. Let me see it. I've got a tile on which I dropped a dot of the black and then a blob of the water, and I was mixing them on the tile to give me just enough black to print this without being too rich black and not too much gray. But then I dropped a drop of ink by mistake into the water. So the water has now become dirty water, but it turns out just about right for printing. So the black here is printed with dirty water. Whatever. But water in the sumi or sumi in the water doesn't make much difference, does it? Any news on the Gampi? No, not yet. I'm sorry. I know it's just waiting on my desk, actually. We've placed an order for some of it. But as far as organizing it, I'm sorry. It's just one thing after the other waiting. At the moment, really, my priorities have come down to 2 or 3 things. Keeping up to date with the owls, then the preparation for next year's subscription series. The girls have now almost finished the first print, the January print, but I haven't done anything yet about getting the captions printed. Then the other thing I'm trying to scramble to keep up with is getting the book ready for the Kickstarter backers. There's a book going out with the 10 prints sewn inside it. And getting along with the preparation for that. And those sorts of things, which are really time-sensitive jobs. People are waiting for those things. So stuff like the Gampi, I'm sorry, just has to sit for a little bit. That's 2 groups of 15, 2 groups left. Here's the before, né? The shuttle that I bought, I don't remember the exact price. It was nearly, what, 30,000 yen? 27,000 yen? Something like that. So what's that, about $250? I'm not really sure if I'd recommend it. You know, it's sitting here on the floor next to me now. It's making noises while I'm working. It's flaky. Hontoni, it's flaky. It's got a real, the shuttle and I are getting used to each other, so I can get up and running now each time without some panic. But my God, it's flaky, you know. There's a real routine that has to be followed like black magic. I have to have the camera turned off. I have to have the video out of the camera. The shuttle has to go into one of the Thunderbolt ports on the Mac, and some days it works on port A, some days it doesn't, some days it wants port B. I never know until I turn the camera off, then have to go back and try again. So I plug it in port A. I have to wait at least 30 seconds. This is a solid state thing, but I got to wait at least 30 seconds before the shuttle then decides to make some kind of clicks, click, click, click inside it. After I've heard those clicks, I can then plug it into the camera. This is before I open any software. Then I open the OBS, OSB, what's it called? I keep forgetting the name of this thing. OBS, I open it once, and there's no video signal. I close it, then open it again immediately, then there's a video signal. So you've got to go through all this specific kind of routine. And only then can I start streaming. I'm blaming it on the shuttle, I don't know, but as far as the built-in video works, this thing, it's there all the time, always with no problem, which, whatever, I guess that makes sense because it's built in. But I'm not so sure I would recommend this shuttle, you know. As far as the quality of the video and audio and stuff, I don't know. It's just audio and video. So yeah. I don't demand anything from NHK. Actually, the NHK demanded something from me a couple of weeks ago. It's getting near the end of the year, I guess. So they're updating all their database. So I got a letter from their financial department asking me to update my name and address and tax numbers and all that kind of stuff. So at least the financial department thinks I'm still alive. Producers, I don't know. Patreon campaign, going to get some recording equipment. Well, actually that's already happening. It's in the next room. We have a new iMac Pro with Final Cut Pro on it. I don't know if it's going to make the YouTube videos edited any better, but at least I can no longer blame anything about the tools, you know. I've been using iMovie so far. Now I've got to teach myself how to step up to the next grade. So, GIB, they're the people that usually talk to me. GIB is the people I hear from when I get on those Journeys in Japan programs. They're the people who hire me usually. NHK doesn't usually talk to me directly. It's GIB who calls, or one of their producers. And over the past couple of years, there have been a number of times when I've sat with one of their producers or another and discussed what kind of programs could be done. I think we're getting a bit tight here. And one of the plus minus things about working for NHK on this craft scene is there's a bit of a paradox here. They want to show Japanese crafts to the world and stuff like that, but they also would really want to do it with Japanese people doing it. They want these programs with wizened craftsmen going through the routines. They don't really want a foreign craftsman sitting there showing the age-old traditions of doing some kind of pottery or something, you know. But on the other hand, they do need people to explain the work who can communicate and speak in English. So there's a bit of a paradox there. It's the same too. Back when I was making a poet series, this is a long time ago, more than 15 years ago, there were discussions. Somebody came from the Japanese Foreign Ministry. They were looking for items to use as gifts, you know, when ambassadors go somewhere and when people come and visit and stuff like that. And they thought my prints would be a good idea for this. It didn't happen. They decided to go with stuff made by Japanese instead, which makes sense, you know. Canadian ambassador visits Japan, gets given a present made by a Canadian. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, you know. No, I'm not a Japanese citizen. I'm British and I'm Canadian. I carry both citizenships. I was born in Britain, born in England. And you can't lose that, I guess, just by being away. So I'm still British. Then when I was 5, our family immigrated to Canada. And after the, whatever waiting time it was or something, 2 years or 3 years, the entire family, of course, the family became Canadian. So when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I guess I became a Canadian. I mostly think of myself as Canadian because I don't remember the British part of my life so much. Although now it's turning up. I guess how long have I been here? I've been in Japan now longer than I've been anywhere else. So, but no, I'm not a citizen here. I don't have any plans for that. Not in the foreseeable future. I have here what's called in English permanent residency, eiju kyoka in Japanese. I do everything that Japanese people do, like pay taxes, and I bought my house, stuff like that. I can run a business, I can be an employer. I can do everything. I can't vote because all of the voting in Japan, right down to the local city office, all of the voting is only for citizens. And I can't do things like you're not allowed to work for the police department or you couldn't become prime minister or whatever, stuff like that, without being a citizen. Can't be a school teacher, I don't think. I'm not quite sure about that one. And for me, the reason I don't become Japanese is because it's a really strange thing here. I know if I asked for it now, with my track record and my history and my contributions to the culture, etc., they would grant me citizenship immediately, no problem at all. But the reason I don't do it is because it's kind of strange. You know, I'm obviously a foreigner here. I'm clearly, obviously, a person that is a foreign person. And getting a piece of paper that says I'm Japanese, it just becomes bizarre. People would talk to me and it comes up with a conversation. Yeah, watashi wa Nihonjin desu. I'm a Japanese. They're going to go like, you may think you're Japanese, but you're not really Japanese. You know, it just becomes something that doesn't make any sense. For a foreigner from any country in the world to move to Canada and after a while get used to the culture, become Canadian, it makes a whole lot of sense because Canada is that kind of country. But it just seems so, I don't even know what the word is. It's so just strange because of the homogeneous nature of the society here. It just is too bizarre for someone like me to call himself Japanese. No, these numbers you're quoting are old. No, there are people now getting permanent residency within 1 year. Japan has switched. They've gone over to a points system. They've copied the Canadian model. And this is up and running now. If you hit the points, if you've got the proper education level, they want X points for that. If you have the language level, they want X points for that. If you're in an in-demand job field, X points for that. You can get, you can get your residency now in less than 1 year. It's a new ballgame now. If you're the kind of person they want. Yeah, they need immigration, of course. It's a paradox. They need immigration, but are still resisting it for obvious reasons. So, not clear how it's all going to play out. What they mostly need is young Japanese people to start making babies, but there's no sign of that happening anytime soon. So we have on our staff, whatever, 12, 13, 14 young people of baby making and age, and none of them, well, Miyashi-san is obviously, 2 of them have started that, but all the rest not even showing any signs of it. So. It's been a long day, 12-hour day, the show, Kawai-san. 12 hours.
デビさんのこと
ごめん、でも、it's okay. It's my business, you know. ごめん、今日夕飯
いやいや大丈夫
出
です
さなかったんですね。
月曜日止まって徹夜になるそうです。徹夜でもう一気に漏らしたんですよ。
だからもし、なんていうのこの周りに泊まりたい。だからキャプスルか、ロッジ。やっていいよ。僕払いますよ。
いやいや大丈夫。
だからもし、この仕事やってる間に、帰りは大変ですから、僕半間が払おう。夕飯と、
まあでもまあ明日はその普通に月曜日まで。でも月曜日わかんない。もう多分回るかもしれない。12時。ちょっと考えます。
いいよ。でも本当に、
わかりました。
リッチモンドホテルのペントハウスはちょっと無理ですが、
別にここでも、もし。
いや、でも、もちろんここも問題ないですが、もうちょっと、カンフォータブルプレイスでしょ、お風呂があるところとか、夕飯と、ホテルロッジ、領収書とかレシートというようなものを用意して持ってきて、全体なく問題ない。
3000ぐらい。
whatever、普通だからあんまり一番安いところを探す意味ないですが、
そこには3000じゃなくて、あれこっちか。
ロスの隣、どうかなわかんない。今はちょうど空いてるかな今ピークじゃないですね。
まあでも、今日、ちょっとそういうプランも考えます。ありがとうございます。
河合さん、先生、お疲れ様でした、河合さん。
お疲れ様でした。
はい。
こっちか。
I can't see. I don't want to turn this thing. No, I know it pulls the plug out. You can't see. It's okay. でもちょっと間違いですか、河合さん。今、お疲れ様でした、河合さんが書いてあります。
かわいい。キュート。すみません、また明日。
Okay, good night. Thank you. Thank you for the comment for Kawai-san, but actually I've got to tell you, you spelled his name wrong. Everybody knows this word in Japanese. Kawaii, beautiful, interesting, cool. That's the one with 2 eyes. That's what you've written. His name doesn't have 2 eyes. His name just has 1 eye. It's 3 syllables. Ka-wa-i, kawaii. A common last name in Japan. Unless you were making a joke. In the party room, everybody introduces themselves at the beginning of a party. And of course, whatever, John Smith or something comes from America, and he introduces himself, kawaii. And of course, everybody, of course, thinks it's the same word, so it's not a kawaii. Everybody has a good laugh, smile. It's okay. It's a good icebreaker at the beginning of the parties when he's the host. He's very used to it now. So.
し忘れてた。
忘れI think there's a question zipping by that I didn't quite get here. Whatever. Were you a serious student of Japanese before? It was mixed. I didn't know anything about Japanese culture at all. I was interested in classical flute and stuff for most of my younger times. Then bumped into Japanese printmaking, just tried it as a hobby with no other serious viewpoint. I'm going to go and move to Japan or whatever. Just tried making a couple of prints. That's something to do. They had looked attractive. I saw some in a restaurant and in a small gallery exhibition. So no, I wasn't, it was one thing led to another, I made these couple of prints. And I took a train journey across Canada. I was leaving work in Toronto, going to live back in Vancouver. And it's a train journey, what's it called in English? The Transcontinental Railroad in Canada. And it's 3 days, right? From Toronto to Vancouver, 2 hours and whatever, 2 days and 20 hours, whatever it is, 3 days. And I was in the cheap seats, like the tour seats. You just sleep in the same seat you're sitting in. There's no bed and stuff like that. They have those, but I didn't buy that one. And in the next seat next to me, there was this Japanese girl. And that was that. That was the end of the game, beginning of the game, you name it, whichever way you want to look at it. We got on the train, it tried to speak to her. She spoke almost no English, and I spoke totally no Japanese. I didn't even know if she's Japanese or Korean or whatever. 3 days on the train, and at the end of it, she came over to my house, and we lived together and made our babies, and you name it. So it was as much that as anything, starting with just seeing a couple of prints, trying to make some prints, and meeting that girl. Yeah, train ride. 3 days on the train, that's dangerous, Didn't waste any time. No, we didn't, kids, kids. Didn't waste any time at all. We had some good times. We had some fun. Oh, somebody's explaining about the printmaking. Okay, I see. What we've got, and I can interject a little bit. What you're seeing here is a block like this. Can you see it in the light? This is printing a bunch of carved shapes that match what we just saw, the black parts of this picture. We have other blocks like this one that match the blue part of the picture. And putting them all together makes an image. There's 5 blocks for the particular one I'm doing today. Do we have a command in the bot that links to the finished print, the finished image here? I don't remember. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's got a command list. I think you do exclamation mark followed by the word commands, I think. Not quite sure. There you go. No, help. Show you what I know about this. Command is not a valid command. Didn't get the same life-changing experience. Is that a bug or a feature? Be careful, eh? I mean, we thought it worked out at the time, but here I am. I'm single now, you know. So, she and I were together for, I guess, what, 11 years? I can't remember exactly. 10 or 11 or 12 years. 11 years, maybe. That was a very, very long time ago. I've been single now for 25 years? A quarter of a century. So, is that what it is? Married to my work. No, I just had enough of that stuff. At my age now, I don't want to get started with that sort of thing all over again. No, thank you. No, thank you. There's a time and a place in your life for stuff like that. Do I miss Canada from she's over your shoulder asking? No, I don't really miss Canada at all. And we talked about this on a stream a few days ago, you know. And I was back there last February when my father died. And I'll be going again probably in January, actually. Got to see my mother and my kids. And for me now, that's about how it is. It's kind of like weddings and funerals now, getting back there. The past few times I've been there, I've felt really kind of strange, you know. I guess it's a story that's kind of obvious. Having been here now for 32 years. I moved here in 1986, early in 1986. So 31 X years. Canada has changed so much, you know. Well, Japan has too, but I've been here, so I haven't noticed it so much. But Canada's changed so much. If I couldn't stay here in Japan, yeah, I'd go right back there because it's a wonderful place and all that sort of stuff. But I really don't feel comfortable there so much, you know. Maybe I'd get back to it, used to it. I don't know. The people just say such strange things and have such strange ideas and attitudes, you know. And then I suppose it's me. I've changed to a different, you know, half my life, you know. Back into skydiving. Yeah, right. Right. Like they would take me. No, thank you. Again, time and a place in your life for all different things. And 66 for me is not a time to go skydiving again. Thank you. That was good fun. My God, that was good fun. No, thank you. There are things I miss about Canada, you know. Japan is wonderful for living and for food. You know, Japanese food, of course, is wonderful. Every day I enjoy wonderful dinner and interesting food. But there are some kinds of Canadian eating and food that I can't find here, that don't exist here yet. For example, when I was back when my father was dying last February, I stayed in his hospital room for about, 8 or 9 days, taking care of him at the end of his life there. And one of my daughters came on and said, "Dad, you just got to get out of here, go get a shower." She gave me the keys to her house, her apartment, which was about, whatever, it's a walkable distance from the hospital. So I did. I got out of the room where Dad was and into the sunshine and walked across town, and it felt kind of neat and cool to be out there. And I stopped in a coffee shop, and my God, the food was to die for. The muffins and the baked goods, and that kind of stuff doesn't exist here in Japan, not in any way, shape, or form. And if any of you want to a business, well, I can't say this would be successful, because anyway, you would have one customer. If you open a Canadian-style coffee shop bakery here near Asakusa, you've got a regular customer every day. Whether the Japanese themselves would go for it, I don't know. The stuff might be just too big and a bit too sweet, maybe. But I died there. It's not sad. It's it's just life. My kids, they don't want me hanging around. They've got their own busy businesses. We chat by Skype. We have a family email list. You write an email and everybody gets it. They reply and everybody gets it. We have one of those. So our family has the communication we want. We have the communication that we have what we need and want. We've sorted it out. So. What's that Canadian baking like? I don't know how to describe it. Muffins, for example, they were just rich, and not meaty, rich, and well, one big good brand muffin with a cup of coffee. That's all I need, like, for a day. Not really, but just they're so filling and so enjoyable and so pleasurable. Then my daughter one day, while I was in the hospital room there, I couldn't get out for food so much. One of my daughters brought me some kind of a sandwich. It was like a panini bread with meat inside, and you've never seen anything like it in Japan. I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. Just simply the way those contemporary cafes, I say Canadian, but maybe it's the same in Idaho or something. I don't know, maybe it's North American culture I'm talking about, actually. Hey, who's the last one? Look at this. We've talked our way through the whole group here. Here's the last one for black. I'm going to move on to sepia next. That went by fast, quickly. Get your grammar right, Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. Okay, back to group number 1. Change the block. You spelled it wrong. To also on the fan page today, early this morning from my point of view, somebody posted a series of photographs about a baron that he had made. And it is wonderful, absolutely fantastic. Super careful work, super detailed work. That fan page is, whoever thought of it, who set up, wonderful idea. It's so cool. It's encouraging people to do stuff, make stuff, talk about stuff. The pigment here, when did I do the last batch of owls? Was it nearly a week ago? I just left the pigment on the bench and it dried, so we're just going to bring it back to life. is sepia. We're starting with a brown. And I'm going to put it on a light tone. This is the dirty water. I'm just using the dirty water. It doesn't matter. Sepia has enough of a grey tinge to it. So with the dirty water, lightly, with a mix of this brown, very, very lightly. Well, the dirty water was my pigment for the last one, but okay, here we go. So what we'll do for this one, we've got a good clean brush. We're going to mix. We're going to use a light dab of dirty water, a bit of that brown on the tile. I guess you can't see it, sorry. It just goes on the tile, and I just dab into it each time. And now we need paste because it's a solid body color. And let's see what we're getting here. What could I be beating, nay? It's Saturday night out there. Oh, too dark. Back off. Okay, let's go. Start again. 60 more sheets or whatever they are, I don't know. And this paper is very soft. We'll definitely need protection here. A bit too light, I think. Let's darken it up. I have to find the balance here. So this 60 here, I'll run this stream tonight now to the end of this 60, then we'll call it a day. The reason is I have a stream to do tomorrow morning, so I'm going to save the last two colors for tomorrow morning stream. If I don't do that, I'll have nothing to show them, nothing to do for them. So. And also this morning we were chatting, oh, I know what I should be showing you. On this morning stream. Some of you were here this morning, maybe. We had a special, no, let me find it. Here it is. And Jed dropped in this morning, so we had some things to show him. Suga-san, the printer that works on the bench next to me over here, she's spent the last 2 days doing test printing on the first of the boss fights prints. She's got a bunch of test sheets here. I hope this is going to focus. These are her test sheets with notes and stuff like that. And finally, it's coming to life. The first of the, if I go in closer, will it focus? Probably. No, stay back. And this is not, I remember, don't know what you remember, we had two versions, nay? We had the version where we had the black areas not carved off the key block because we needed to keep them there for making color. And then she pulled those off, and of course the colors now jump out to be really what they are. This isn't the final version. There's a couple of things that were really wrong with it. The color on the tunic and the color on the on the creature here is too similar. So she's going to have to work out a version where the colors are more different. There's more differentiation between the colors. There's any number of places. The gradation at the bottom needs to be darker. We've got just notes all over the place here. These browns have to be deeper. The orange is too strong. So it's too much of a contrast here and not enough contrast there. So this is better. Light contrast both ways. So there's many, many, many issues, but that's what test printing is all about. But here it is. It's up and running. Now the 6 prints that we announced in the Kickstarter campaign a couple of months ago, we're nearly done now with 3 of them. The one about the Colossus, the young man shakes heaven, that's being delivered to me tomorrow afternoon. They're finished, the first batch, and we'll send them straight to Jed for signing and sealing. Sugu-san is now going to start printing on this one, now that the test printing is done. The block set for the Dragon's Gift, the print that Jed has parodied off Dragon Ball, is now completely ready. The blocks are downstairs waiting for test printing. And Ayumi-san's going to drop back in next week. She can't print for us these days, but she's going to drop back in to sit right here and do test printing of the Dragon's Gift print. And then the 4th one, the one based on Metal Gear, the one Jed calls something to do with a snake, I forget. No, a serpent. I forget what he calls it. I don't know. Serpent Strikes. The one with the character hiding behind the barrel there. Carving is 90% finished on that one. So we are really, really, really moving ahead. Of the 6 Kickstarter prints, 4 of them are now approaching that production stage of getting the first printing batch done. The other 2 have yet to start carving. Again, as scheduled. Then the book of 10 bound prints. It hasn't started binding yet. We're still missing one of the prints. Kanai-san, our printer, is working on the 10th one. I have the other prints all ready to go, signed, sealed, ready for binding. In fact, as soon as that Colossus print is back tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a Kickstarter update to show all these things. I've been getting some mail from Kickstarter people. They're thinking that we're really late and stuff like that. And actually, we're doing really well, but I've been making updates frequently enough. The Colossus prints, like I said, they're coming to me tomorrow for the final check and evaluation. And assuming they're okay, which I don't expect any problems with, they'll be wrapped on Monday afternoon. They'll be on their way to Jed. Because I can't ship directly. Jed has to sign them and seal them all. And I don't know what his Christmas schedule is like or whatever. He's probably got people that are desperately waiting for those, so he's probably going to jump right on it. So anyway, we will ship them to Jed on Monday. He'll get them whatever, Thursday, Friday. And after that, it's up to him. So if you're waiting for one, let Jed know your address information if you're moving. Then what else? What other news is there? There is news. I know December 30th. For those of you who are in America, anybody over there who has Hulu, our documentary is coming live on Hulu sometime on December 30th. Morning or evening, I don't have any idea. It will be in their schedule or whatever, if you're a Hulu subscriber. And I have no idea how long it's on there for. 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, a year. I don't have any information. So if you're searching for it in the Hulu system, it'll be under documentaries, and it's called The Art of the Game. The next Patreon print will be sent. The Patreon prints are going out every month. There's no specific timeline for them. Patreon prints are shipped every month, going to whoever's timing has hit the particular deadline that month. So if you would like to know exactly when your particular one is going to go out, you'll have to shoot me an email. I'll have to look up your account information. But the Patreon stuff is going out every month. If you're the New Year, if you're on the Patreon level that gets you our New Year print, those are all going together in a big batch in the first week of January. But if you're on the Chibi print level, they're going out on their own schedule to different people when, like I said, when people's own timetable hits. Then the share certificate will go out in, it'll either be the last week of March or the first week of April. I'm not sure exactly, I'm sorry. Probably April, actually, now that I think about it. With the Patreon things now, I'm discovering that there's clearly going to be an issue with addresses, you know. When people joined Patreon, whenever we started it, some people joined like whenever that was, April or May. And since then they've moved, but they don't, you know, when people move, they do all their, you know, they notify people that they think of, but not many people would think to remember to notify Patreon or me. So we've already had a couple of cases where people have written me politely, Dave, I thought I was going to get a print, where is it? You know, and then we go back and forth and it turns out that they moved 4 months ago and stuff like that. Also, Patreon's own database is useless and pointless and just useless. So we run our own database. We download a fresh copy of theirs every month. And then we what's the word? Synchronize what we can synchronize with the people who are still there, dropping the people who've left and stuff like that. Their own database is useless for people that actually have to ship physical products on an agreed schedule. So it's okay. That's not what their system is designed for, so I can't really complain. And like they have other issues to think about right now. Do they ever? Can we see what this will look like? Somebody posted it up in the stream a few minutes ago. There it is. All I see is a command for it. Soka soka. That's one group of 15, 3 more groups of 15 left to go. And I just knocked my paper onto the floor. Can I reach it? Excuse me. You're asking about misalignment on the registration marks. It happened just a few minutes ago. Did you not notice it? I think you didn't. I tried to hide it. One of them, I was talking about something and I slipped. I put it in there and printed it, and it turned out that the owl was crooked. So I made a small mark on the corner with a pen. I didn't really explain what I was doing. I made a small mark on the corner of that one. So that tells me that this one is the one that was slipped. And when I came through and printed the owl color just now, I tried to slip it out by the same amount. And we'll see at the end of the game if it turns out I've been successful to slip them all out the same amount. So But no, it's not normal. If we sit quietly and focus on the work, concentrate, there usually aren't mistakes. But as I'm learning by doing this streaming, the concentration is definitely affected negatively. So. Little jobs like this, no problem, but there's stuff that I just would not be able to do in a stream. Yeah, Patreon, the changes, it came across as being some sort of evil thing, but there's a fundamentally important reason that Patreon made that change, and they're really actually trying to move to a better system. And they have to do it step by step. And just the first step by itself looked only negative, but it's actually the place that they're trying to get to will be a much better, more workable system. But they're really poor at explaining themselves, obviously. So. Misprints. I hope we don't get any misprints here. Sell for more as collector's items, yeah. Any relationship between risk of management and print size? The bigger things get, the more difficult they get. Yes. Well, at really small sizes, things get really difficult. And then when they get larger, they get more difficult. I know your optimum size is sort of what you see on the bench in front of me here, this sort of thing. Much smaller than this, and registration gets tight and difficult. It can get microscopic sometimes. And then the bigger you get, the more trouble you have with paper expansion. Because if you let the paper get a bit too moist or a bit too dry, it shrinks. And if you've got a big piece of paper, even a tiny percentage of shrinking means a big distance at the other side of the paper. So yeah, big paper is difficult, really small paper is difficult. The general kind of size we're staying in here on the bench top is not usually a problem. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4 impressions done, 2 left. The darker brown on the owl and green leaves. The darker brown on the owl also has leaves on it. Asking about the size here. Actually, it's funny. It's interesting you ask about this because the paper I'm using right now is paper that we rejected a year ago, 2 years ago. Stories get mixed up here. Somebody's asking about sizing on the paper. Is it the same on the front and back and things like that? For us these days now, we're doing sizing with a dip method. So by definition, the sizing on there comes out front and back the same. Sizing applied by a brush is usually done with a different strength front or back. Sizing that's done in the tub when they're making the paper must have just its size that's in the paper, so the front and back will be identical. The ideal situation is that the front and back are different because the requirements are different depending on the kind of your picture you're making. The one I've done here, which has a deep, rich, strong background color, needs very stable, very smooth sizing on the front, and it needs a strong sizing on the back so it doesn't get torn. That's why I'm using this paper. If the sizing on the front is too strong, the pigment won't go up inside the paper, but if the sizing on the back is too weak, the paper gets torn. So for a print like this, front and back sizing of a different tone would be better. But that means the paper has to be sized for each printing job. We've got different people in the workshop doing different jobs. So what do? You can't. What we do instead is we work with just an average level of sizing. Or try to work with an average level of sizing. The paper, I got sidetracked with two stories. So a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were having a lot of trouble with the paper from Iwano-san, the living national treasure. It was pilling up, it was too weak, it just wasn't holding its body even when we sized it normally. So we tried sizing some really strongly, and the paper held together then, but the pigment wouldn't go inside the paper. So really the paper was defective. But we weren't quite sure about that, so we sent a batch of 60 or so sheets out to a professional sizer, the guy that used to do it for me years and years and years ago. Came back from him. This is the paper I'm using now, actually. And he had tried to figure out how to do the same thing. And what he had done was he sized the front of it with a really rich solution of alum and the back of it with a weaker solution. It'll never show on the camera. I can't show you in the camera. So the front side had this sparkly effect. And when you tried to print on it, the pigment wouldn't go into the paper because there was too much alum. The back of it was fine. You could rub okay without tearing the paper, but it was unprintable because there was too much alum on the front surface. Now last week we were here trying to scramble to find more paper for these owls. Aoyama-san suggested this batch and I said there's no way, it's not going to happen. I'll never ever ever be able to get this deep rich color into that paper through that barrier of alum. And then I remembered something had happened on the stream a week ago. There was talking to William Francis, the guy from Britain. He had sent me a bunch of those prints. The tiger and little boy, the one that Jed printed for him, the Jed designed for him. And William had printed on the back of the paper. No, he had printed on the front of the paper with it too much size and it didn't work. So I suggested try printing on the back. No, which way around was it? I don't remember. Anyway, the conversation came back to mind and I thought, that's what I should do with this paper. It's sized far too heavily on the front of the paper, too much alum. Why not print it on the back? So that's what I'm doing now. This whole batch of owls is printed on the back side of the paper. And if you happen to get one of them, you wouldn't even know. You'd just see white washy paper with an owl. And if you happen to look at the back, you might see some shiny sparkly, which turns out to be the mark left behind by the alum. So the paper that we couldn't figure out how to use, which basically was just trash, just sitting here, we didn't know what to do. We couldn't sell it, couldn't give it away, couldn't throw it away, couldn't do anything with it. It's now coming to life for these owls. Hint that I got from talking to William Francis about his problem. So, hooray. What a ramble. Try to get this story, Dave. Why is there a front and a back side? That comes from the manufacturer. When the guy is rocking the paper, now you've seen the videos, they're rocking, draining out the water, picking up the net, flipping it over, putting it onto a stack. They call the post. Sheets of wet paper building up. At that point, it doesn't really have any specific front or back. They squeeze the water out of it, then peel the delicate paper off one wet sheet at a time, and then they put it on a flat surface to dry. And that's the point when the front and back are decided, because the side of the paper that goes on the hard wooden surface for drying becomes the front. So there's no internal structure difference to this. It's just the pattern that sits on the front and the pattern that's on the back, because they brush to get it onto these drying panels. So front and back isn't anything that's internally structurally different. And for me to use this paper now on the back side makes no difference whatsoever, because I'm printing the entire surface vigorously. It's going to flatten it anyway. If you were a real paper expert, you'd be able to take one of these and look at the moon area and think, that's got a bit of a funny texture compared to the back. Yeah, I think David might have printed this on the back side of the paper. I wonder why. That's the only way you'd be able to tell, by looking at the moon. Are we losing our focus again today? It should be focused here. Oh, Jacques, yeah, good evening. I don't know what William's Twitch is. I've tried to catch him. He's done a couple of test streams. I don't think there's anything else up there. Oh, he's here. Okay. Not catching everything that's going by here, but sorry. So what have we got left here? This is, where am I? One group, two groups. This is the third group of 15. I'll be doing this group plus one more tonight. So there's about 15 minutes left maybe here. 10, 15 minutes left, and then we'll be wrapping it up. Save some work for tomorrow's stream. Jacques, if you also want to see what William's doing, look up his Instagram account. And you don't have to be an Instagram member, but if you search for William Francis and then Instagram, his Instagram pages come up, and you'll see some interesting photographs of the work he's doing. I saw at one point a touch of pigment. The black here, I don't know. I should admit, the black here isn't actually black pigment. It's just water. It's dirty water. I know. We've got three things. We've got the paste, we've got a bit of loose water, and we've got the brown pigment that's making most of our color. And the water actually got a bit dirty because I dropped the brush in it when I was doing the black. It's okay because this is sepia. There's black mixed in it, so it doesn't much matter. But no, ideally this would just be clear water at this moment, you know. If I was trying to print some light yellow or something, I couldn't get away with this. But because I'm printing a brown, it doesn't matter. "30 years in Japan. Would you say your Japanese compares to the natives?" No, no, no. 100 times no. 100 times no. My Japanese, I communicate really fine. I talk to people all day long, no problem at all. I give speeches, I'm on TV, whatever. No problem at all. But I'm not a native in any way whatsoever. I know, you know, Japanese is, there's a lot of vocabulary and all the kanji compounds and drawing and reading and writing. And if you don't go through the actual schooling process, you know, start in grade 1, go to grade 2, go to grade 3. If you don't do that, you'll never learn those things. So my Japanese is oral, verbal and oral. I can read quite a lot, but I can't write very much at all. And my pronunciation is still strange. I have obviously a foreign accent. I can't hear that, but Japanese can certainly hear it. So no, I'm in no way a native. I don't claim special language skills at all. I know. Cameron, for example, has come. He's only been in Japan 3 years. He's way ahead of me in reading and writing, because before he came, he went to college, majored in Japanese or something, and actually sat there with the headphones on and practiced and practiced and practiced. And so these young kids who have really learned this properly, they look at the older guys like me, the older generation, as being really lazy. You know, we should have studied stuff like that, but and before me, the generation, they didn't even learn Japanese, so they came here and just insisted on speaking English. You know, I'm speaking very generally about a generation. You know, American soldiers in the post-war period and stuff like that, they would never have tried to learn Japanese. For them, it was an incomprehensible, indescribable, difficult thing. You know? These days, we don't look at it like that anymore. But compared to the young kids, no, I'm not good at all. We talked about this the other day, I think. I did one of the YouTube videos in Japanese, the one that was, you know, supposedly pointed towards Ghibli. I did that in Japanese, but it's not my normal Japanese. It's scripted, reading a teleprompter, slow-paced Japanese. So it comes across as not normal speech at all. But I just dropped my sheet on the floor again, Dave. Where are you? Okay, 15 more sheets and then I'm out of here tonight. Final chance for questions. Sure. It's been a long day here, you know. When did I start streaming this morning? 14 hours ago. Hours ago. Jeez, what are you doing? Also, something else I should mention too before we leave. On this morning's stream, we were talking about the upcoming schedule for the end of the year. You know, Christmas is coming up, New Year's coming up, stuff like that. And what's happening here, I know we're going to stick to our regular schedule. We're closed Tuesdays. I won't be streaming on Tuesday next week, which is the 26th, which means there's no stream over there from America or Europe's point of view on the 25th. So you won't have a Christmas stream here. which shows presumably you've got like family things and stuff to do, get a life. And then coming towards the end of the year, here at the shop, we'll be open up until the 31st. And I think I'll be following a normal streaming schedule, doing it 6 days a week, but except for Tuesdays. And then on the 1, 2, 3 of January, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of January, I'm going to shut this whole thing down. The shop itself is closed for New Year's, 1, 2, and 3. The shop will be coming back to life on the 4th of January, so I'll probably be streaming on the morning of the 4th of January. But on 1, 2, and 3, you will hear nothing from me. I'm sorry. I don't know. I thought about sort of doing a special New Year's program or something, but actually, I got so much to catch up to. It's a chance for me with the shop being closed and nobody here. And taking on another obligation is not such a good idea. So just so you know, we'll be on a normal schedule up to the end of the year. And then I'll be closed for 3 days, one of which is a Tuesday anyway, normally closed. So. Three, 4, 5. Okay, 6 sheets left in tonight's run here. The last 6. And I've got to save the last 2 color impressions for tomorrow morning stream. Otherwise I have nothing for those guys. Actually, it's not going to take an hour and a half either, so I've got to find something else to fill in. Getting rambunctious outside, and it's nearly 10 o'clock now, so some of the bars are starting to close down. So it's Saturday night. What was dinner tonight, Dave? Do we really have to have that kind of conversation? If you really want to know, actually, you're not going to believe this. Kawai-san and I were working here. We closed the shop at 5:30. Then we came up here and started working, the two of us, 5:30 to 6. And recently, Kawai-san, when he works late, we've been going out for dinner together. But I had already planned to start a stream here tonight at 8 o'clock. So I was working on the blue background, 5:30 to 6. And I was hoping that Kawai-san and I would be able to coordinate. So we go out for dinner together like we normally do. Saturday night in Asakusa. Anyway, the point was I got to the end of my blue background and it was 7:30 and I knew I wanted to start streaming at 8. So he wasn't finished, so too bad. He had to sit and work while I went out for dinner by myself. And I had I had fish and chips while I watched a live soccer match here in Asakusa. We've got a couple of real drunks out there tonight there. I bought fish and chips from a, what do you call it, a wagon? What do you call it when there's an outside place that sells food? It's not a sit-down place. I don't know the name in English. I don't know. They drive it up and park it, open the shutters on the side, make food, and you buy it and walk away. A truck, I guess a food truck? Is that what it's called? I don't know. So I bought fish and chips, English-style fish and chips with malt vinegar from a food truck. Then went up to the 5th floor of the Rocks Shopping Center, which is 2 blocks away from us. And they have a, what do you call it, foosball court? This is the whole top floor of the supermarket is a soccer court. And it's Saturday night, and the salaryman's teams were up there. So I sat in a stand. There's no stand, there's a bunch of seats there. I sat in the seats, gobbled my fish and chips, and watched these guys play soccer. Then came home and started this stream. Street vendor, yeah. Food truck, street vendor. The idea, when I first came to Japan, like whatever it was, 40 years ago. I lived here now 32, but I first started coming here about 40 years ago. When I first came here, the idea that I would, whatever, buy fish and chips and sit and watch just soccer. Just what have you been smoking, It wasn't that kind of a country, but now it is. They're good fish and chips too, They're not as British as he thinks they are. He's got Union Jack flags flying. And because he pours malt vinegar on them and sells Bass Pale Ale at the same time, he thinks he's British, but whatever. Okay, I'm done. I'm actually tired. I'm going to get a glass of wine and head for bed and be ready for the morning stream here. Okay, tomorrow morning we'll be doing 2 colors on this owl. And that's that. Monday morning, I don't know. I can't see that far ahead. Anyway, I'm done. Thanks very much, guys. Okay, see you tomorrow or whenever we see you. Thanks for tuning in and for watching this not so specifically interesting work. Okay, bye-bye. Good night. Yoisho.